Disgaea, a series infamous for its ridiculous grinding, ludicrous attack animations, and
A horse wiener?
Now, admittedly, this would turn several players away due to not only the amount of grinding you will do, but also due to how high that ceiling is. Whilst most games have a limit of level 99 or 100 maybe, Disgaea destroys that ceiling, ramping it up to a whopping 9,999, and that number can appear to be like a goal waiting at the top of a mountain with no way to climb up. Wait, did Disgaea 6 increase the level ceiling to 99 million? Oh. This video may have taken a lot longer to make. This video exists as a way to help out new players that want to give Disgaea a try for themselves and make the grind less time-consuming, especially considering the late game is a bit crazy to say the least. Today, we're going to be covering Disgaea 1, the complete version. A bit of a disclaimer, I'll be skipping a majority of the cutscenes, so if you want to play along, be sure to pause this video whenever you need to. So, let's just get straight into this. No extra dialogue here, let's just throw ourselves in. First thing we want to do upon gaining control of Laharl is to activate two switches. One behind this throne chair, and another at this skull on the shop, where you will be purchasing your weapons and other useful items. Upon hitting these two switches, be sure to go to this exact corner and hit the confirm button, which is usually the X button, or if you're playing on the Switch, it would be A. So, after you do that, this will take you to a hidden back room, where you can get some special hidden story concerning our fiery redhead, Etna. Be sure to visit this room every time you start up a new episode, as you will be rewarded for doing so at the end. Not gonna say what it is, but you'll probably like it. Next, be sure to go through the tutorial maps and get yourself familiarized with this game if you're not used to this game itself, and its system. You start out with Laharl, Etna, and 3 Prinnies. For the time being, I recommend you pile a good portion of EXP gain on both Laharl and Etna, as it makes the later steps a lot easier and less taxing. After you clear the tutorials, you will then be allowed to create new allies. In the Disgaea series, you have your options between humanoids and monster types. Each type has their advantages and disadvantages, like humans having very specialized equipment aptitudes and a multitude of weapons to choose from, while having a letter grade symbolizing what types they are good with, E being worst and S being the best, versus monsters being limited to only monster-type weapons and having their aptitudes all evened out. It's entirely up to you what you decide to create. But for this video, I decided to create a fist fighter, and I named him Okanogi. Fist-type weapons are a pretty good balance of attack and speed, and the fist fighter can counterattack more frequently. Now that that is out of the way, you can go to the weapon shop and buy a weapon for the class you chose. Be sure to make note of the stealing hands at the bottom, the very bottom of the list. Don't buy any of those just yet, but they will come in handy later on. Now, after clearing the tutorials, you will now have access to Vyre's castle. However, we want to go back to the tutorial map that has appeared. The geo effects in place are a 50% defense bonus to units on blue panels, and a 50% hell bonus to units defeated on the red panels. Obviously, this pretty much tells you what you want to do. Place your units on the blue panel so that they can reap the benefits of not only getting a defense boost, but every enemy that they kill on the red panels, that's more money in your pocket. Now, pay attention to the two enemies we have here. Mostly spirits and a single hobbit named Rhea. Clearly, Fire Emblem is still begging me to play more. Your goal for this map is to try and get Laharl leveled up to the point where we can capture 2 of these monsters as allies. Laharl should be around level 3 or 4 at this point, so take the time to pick up one of the spirits and toss it into the base panel, forcefully recruiting it. Now I'm going to go over exactly what capturing is. In Disgaea 1, the monster classes have a rather high mana cost, so instead of having to grind mana, we're going to cheapen it and do this thing called capture. To do this, make sure Laharl is in the base panel and is a higher level than the unit you want to capture. Then, using the lifting mechanic, you throw the monster directly into the base panel. And if you fail, the base panel is going to be destroyed, so be sure to quit. The good news is, with this version, you won't lose progress, and you can easily retry the map once Laharl is a bit stronger. Another note to keep in mind. Every time you clear a map, I recommend you go to the nurse's office and heal your units. Every time you restore HP, SP, or even revive units, it's added to this hidden counter at the nurse. Once this counter reaches a certain point, you'll receive some excellent rewards that are great for early game. Prinnies will always cost a single hell to fully revive. Meaning, if you give these guys time to get stronger, they'll always be the cheapest to revive, ensuring that you will always have allies at any time. And if they have a lot of HP and SP to restore, that'll go toward the hospital reward system, and it will literally be dirt cheap. Praise the Prinny dude. Now, the common orb is usually one of the first rewards you're gonna receive. It's part of an equipment type that greatly increases SP and resistance. I decided to give this to my recently captured spirit for the time being, as it is a good magic-based monster, and I intend to teach it magic later. If you have the hell, go ahead and buy it a Scratch Claw weapon so it can actually deal some damage. Finally, it's time for us to go to the first map of the Vire's castle, Magnificent Gate. This map has an excellent starting setup. You'll notice 2 geo symbols, one yellow and one blue. Immediately, destroy the yellow, causing a chain reaction that deals damage to the enemies on the geo panels. Next, have one of your units grab the blue geo symbol and toss it onto the yellow panel. Now, every enemy that's on a yellow panel, once you kill them, they're going to drop about 50% more EXP. Granted, you will only receive the EXP bonus if the enemy is actually standing on the yellow panels. Me being a dumbass, whenever I first started this game, I thought you had to stand on the yellow panels to get the bonus, but that's not the case. This particular map is going to be a good source of early EXP, so feel free to take your time and grind a bit on this map. Before we get to the nit and gritty, we want to make sure all of the units that we are comfortable using are around level 3 to 5. Don't forget to go to the hospital to restore your HP and SP, and you might get yourself a muscle item. Muscle equipment in this game has one focus, that HP stat, which you will crucially need early game. Go ahead and slap that muscle on Laharl. Now, as for that, just go do that map multiple times until make sure that your characters are around like level 5. I know I said make sure that they're level around like 3 to 5, but 5 is a very good number to actually stick with. Now, me personally, I decided to go back and try to capture another monster, specifically the Hobbit Gaer. To ensure my success, I keep Laharl inside the base. After the success, you might notice a lack of characters. That's because whenever you're capturing a monster, the units inside are going to fight it off and weaken it. This is unfortunately the risk that comes with recruiting monsters. Now, go ahead and finish the map and rinse and repeat a couple of times. Make sure to use the monsters you recruited on the maps and get them some mana, or in my case, only one, as I didn't have enough hell to revive the newly caught Gaer. I'm terrible with money management. Since the spirit I captured has a positive fire affinity and enough mana to use, I have him create a fire mage. Now, be sure to pick the right element for your spirit, as it does affect spell damage. Basically, the spirit, any character, has a random elemental affinity unless you go to the mages and the skulls. Theirs are fixed, depending on what type they are. Since mine is a fire affinity spirit, I'm going to go ahead and give you a bit of a rundown of what the master-student system is. So, the master is the unit you choose to create the student, obviously. However, this imparts some bonuses to the master, such as stats and skills, depending on how strong the student actually is in comparison to the master, which will dictate the bonuses that you get. So, our student in this case is going to be the Fire Mage, and its starting spell is, well, fire. So, in this case, the spirit, now that he has a fire student, can actually learn that fire spell after having to use it multiple times. This is essentially how you get characters to have certain skills that they normally can't learn. Now, after that's done, go ahead and use what little hell you have to buy some equipment for our little mage. To speed up spell learning, let's go to the second map, Blessed Court. First thing you're going to notice is the colored geo panels. Those are your best friend with the effects in particular that they have. Defense plus 50% and attack plus 1. The attack plus 1 is basically what it says. It makes it to where whatever action you take will be done twice. This applies to normal attacks and spells. Unique special attacks and weapon attacks unfortunately do not count. So, after taking care of the spirits, go ahead and place both Laharl and Etna on the panels for the time being, giving them a nice helping of EXP as the enemies come by to try to beat them. With the attack multipliers, you can easily dispatch these enemies. When you feel it is safe, go ahead and move Etna and replace her with the spirit. Make sure to place the mage right next to him, and now the spirit can double cast fire. Try to lead the enemies close to the spirit so he can continue to double cast fire until he officially learns it at level 1. Now, the spirit doesn't even have to be near his student anymore to be able to cast fire, which is great. Now, this map is good not only for magic leveling, but also weapon EXP grinding. Go ahead and do this map a couple of times, as this will go toward the final preparation, which arguably takes the longest amount of time. Continue to do this until the hospital rewards you with the items Muscle Hustle and Psych Orb. They're obviously an increased version of the original Muscle and the Common Orb that we got earlier. Go ahead and replace said items with the new ones that we just got, and let's go ahead and give the Common Orb to our mage. As for the Muscle Hustle, just go ahead and give that one to the fighter Okinogi. Or if you want to make sure Laharl is stronger, just give it to him instead. Just piling it on top of the muscle that he's already got equipped. Now, here comes the real time-consuming part, the crux of all this preparation. Go to the item store, specifically the usable items, and go to the bottom to the stealing hands. What we are looking for are these things called Statisticians. These bad boys make your grinding so much easier. Stealing hands are the most common item I noticed that has consistent statisticians. If they don't have any, just leave and recheck the shop. This restocks the same items and changes the innocence within the items. You notice that little number 7 next to the statistician? That is its base value. Try to aim for items that have 1 or only 2 innocence in it. The reason for this will be explained soon. Now for the time-consuming fun part. We're going to the item world. Now, this is going to be different for each player. The item world is a randomly generated hellscape that can either give you candy invincibility panels, or rob you blind with enemy turbo times 3. And it sounds about as bad as it sounds. However, it can be one of the best level grinding areas through the whole of the game. Now, I'm going to offer a bit of advice. Do not, under any circumstance, try to kill every enemy on each map. We're only after the statisticians. Now, this is entirely RNG, but at the start of a map, you have a chance where the camera will focus on a single enemy and label them with a check. This is your target. If the stealing hand had more than a statistician, however, you can check this on the enemy. Instead of having its normal class, you will instead see what type of innocent they are. If it isn't a statistician, go ahead, quit out, and reset. However, if you've got the stealing hand with just statisticians, you're good. Go ahead and kill this unit as soon as you can, because every other enemy is going to be attacking them too. Once they're killed, you have to clear 10 floors. What? Did I forget to mention that? This is why I told you not to kill every enemy on each map. Right now, your main goal is to pick off easy enemies with both Laharl and Etna. You need them to become stronger, so the rest of this will be even easier for you. To speed this up, each map has a warp that will automatically take you to the next map. It's too far away, so if it is too far away, be sure to pick up your units and toss them closer. Once you reach floor 10, the real test begins. You better pray to RN Jesus, because the geo panels can make or break this challenge. Your goal this time is to kill everyone on the map. Once you have cleared the map, you will be rewarded with a Mr. Gensi's exit. This is basically an escape rope for you. In order to get more of these, you just gotta clear the 10th map. Once you leave the item world, your stealing hand will level up, but that's not really important. What's really important is the statistician. Notice how that number that we had earlier has now doubled? When you defeat an innocent in the item world, its value doubles. Now, unequip Laharl's Imperial Seal, and then go to the item world manager, and you will see the option Move Residence. Select that, and you will be able to transfer that statistician into the Imperial Seal. Now, this is a bit of a further note here. You can't move innocents that haven't been subdued. Anyway, congratulations! Now, whoever equips the Imperial Seal will gain 14% more experience. Now do what you just did about 20 more times. I know. I realize this might sound a bit crazy and time-consuming, but the good news is that it gets less time-consuming. To make it a little easier, I recommend you go ahead and create a healer. You're going to be needing ways to heal yourself if you go to the item world frequently. And technically, it could also save you some money. The more EXP that you gain, the higher the level your character is going to be. The higher the level the character is, the faster the grind. I will recommend you to go ahead and return the seal to Laharl, but this is entirely up to you at this point. If you want to go ahead and make an Uber unit of your choosing, hell, just go right ahead. It'll only get easier and easier from this point now that the EXP is going to start going up. Now, here is another note so you know your goalpost. The maximum value a statistician can be is about 300. Any more is not going to add anything. So, this means you can have a whopping 300% EXP multiplier. That's some good shit right there. It'll only take a couple hours, give or take. After all, the item world is very random and sometimes unforgiving. Besides, a couple hours early will save several hours late game. Now, I decided to skip a bit ahead so I could show you my progress. I decided to stop mine at 290 so I can show you how fast this last run through the item world is going to be in comparison to our first run we took. In comparison, that there is a solid 7 minutes, give or take, after all the grinding that we've done. That's about half the time it took during our first visit to the item world, which is about 14 minutes. This is why starting ahead of time will save you future time. Now that we have a piece of equipment that gives us a damn good multiplier, let's give this a test run. I went to the Dark Senate to create 2 of the same classes so I can show you the difference in EXP gain. First off, we make Vera, who won't be having the EXP multiplier equipment, and Sipthia, who will be having the EXP multiplier. After I go to the store and make sure that they both have a weapon, I head back to our favorite map, Magnificent Gate. Do what we've been doing with the geo effects to give us a solid EXP multiplier and weaken our enemies at the same time. To properly show you the difference, I'm going to be having Vera and Sipthia kill these hobbits. Now that they've both leveled up, let's see the difference. Vera gained a single level, not bad. Sipthia, however, gained 2. I realize 2 levels doesn't seem to be much, but keep in mind, this is the first story map. As the game progresses, the enemies will be dropping much more EXP, and this multiplier equipment is gonna really start paying off in terms of grinding. Now, if you think of it like this multiplier cuts your grinding time by over half. Now, since we're at the end of the video and you are successfully much stronger than before, I'm gonna let you know the earliest grinding spot that you can unlock. Don't worry, I'll leave the rest as a surprise. When you unlock the Blazing Core map, Road of Flames will be one of the best early grinding spots as the enemies all come in groups and appear on the EXP multiplier geo panel, so you don't have to get any extra preparation for that. And that's pretty much it. You successfully acquired a piece of equipment that greatly increases EXP gain, finally allowing you to grind to your heart's content in a much easier way, and thus, you're much more powerful than you should be at the beginning of Disgaea 1. I decided to do this to kind of prove that you can kind of break the game without even doing much in Chapter 1. And needless to say, it was kind of fun just going through this game again and trying to break it as early as I possibly could. Now, I realize this is my first time tackling a video like this, so feel free to let me know how I did. What did you like? What did you dislike? Please let me know in the comments down below, and if you want to see more like this, well, let me know. Thank you all very much for watching, and I'll definitely see all of you guys in the next video. I kind of want to do something like this again in the future, but I'll take suggestions if you guys actually like this sort of thing. Anyway, again, thank you all very much for watching, and see you guys next time.